It is a little smelly in here. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. I can taste it. Greetings, my fellow decrepit invalids and other sick people. I hope you're doing well today and that you're fighting the good fight. Welcome back to the Fitness with an Illness YouTube channel, where we like to talk about health, fitness, chronic disease, and how they all intersect. Today we are going to be talking about what is really in your Febreze. But before we get into that, if you enjoy the content we make on this channel, I would really appreciate it if you gave a smack to that like button, a ring-a-ding-ding to that notification bell, and maybe even consider subscribing and sharing this content with your family and friends. Now, without further ado, let's get into the video. Disclaimer, I am not telling anyone what they should or should not buy. I am not an expert in the subject. I am just simply someone who has been sick for far too long, and I'm starting to pay closer attention to what ingredients are in the household products that my family uses, closer to the ingredients in the foods that I eat, and I'm just trying to get healthier step by step. Whatever my final verdict is on this product, it is not an endorsement, and I'm not telling you what you should do with this product. It is just my opinion on whether or not this product is safe for household use. All right, so as we all know, Febreze is a very common household air freshener, air mister, whatever you want to call it. Probably the most common, I would guess. Historically, if I wanted to get something to freshen up the scent of my house, I would always get Febreze, as I assume most other people do too. But recently, I was walking past my laundry pantry closet, whatever it is. Our laundry baskets are behind two doors in the hallway. So I was walking past whatever that is and looked at my Febreze. And, recently I've been really starting to wonder about the ingredients in a lot of the foods that we eat and in some of our household products. And so I've been wanting to start making videos about stuff like that. And so I, for whatever reason, decided I was going to start with Febreze. Before we jump in, let me just take a quick moment and let's read the ingredients on Febreze together. And then we are going to dive into what each of those ingredients are. So we have on the back of the Febreze bottle, ingredients. And just so you know, typically, whether it's food or like household products or anything you buy that has an ingredient list, typically the first ingredient you see on the list is the ingredient that takes up the largest percentage in that product. So for example, on Febreze, water is the first ingredient. So in theory, water should be have the highest percentage. So maybe this thing is like 30% water or something like that. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just saying that's kind of how the measurement works in terms of ingredients. Whatever comes first has the largest prominence in the product, and whatever comes last has the least. So just something to keep in mind as we go through this. So ingredients: number 1, water. Number 2, alcohol denate, which is basically denatured alcohol. PEG 60, hydrogenated castor oil. Fragrances: sodium citrate, hydroproxyphyll cyclohextrin, dithylhexyl, I think. Sodium sulfosinate, sodium polycrylate. This one I can't pronounce at all. So we have benzithiazolinone and nitrogen. So those are the ingredients that are in the Febreze. Now, let me just say right off the bat, anytime you look at an ingredient, if you can't pronounce it, it's probably not good for you. Basically, in an ideal world, we want to look at our cleaning products and be able to say, oh, there's water, there's peppermint, and there's citrus, and be like, okay, good. Like, everything's good. We don't have to worry about this harming us. But here we have all kinds of things that we can't even pronounce. And most of us don't know what these things are unless we take the time to look at it, which is what we're going to get into right now. So let's just jump right in and let's start looking at the first few ingredients in Febreze. First, let me say I'm going to try and create a little chart. Basically, I'm going to put the ingredients of Febreze into 3 categories. I'm going to do safe, unsure, and unsafe. Safe is something that I deem, and again, this is just my personal opinion, I'm not an expert, so if you disagree, totally fine. But if I deem something safe, then I feel like it's something that we can put into our body with little to no concern. Unsure is an ingredient that I thought warrants a little bit more research and is probably a little bit deeper dive than just a simple, quick internet search. And then lastly, unsafe. These are the ones that I feel like were pretty obvious. We should be trying to avoid putting these into our bodies, into our households, and allowing our families and our kids to come into contact with these ingredients. So, with that said, let's go ahead and jump into number one, which is going to be water. So, pretty sure water's safe. I suppose you never know. Good old H2O. We need it to survive. Sometimes I think they put things into our water that shouldn't be there, but that's a conversation for another day. So for the sake of this video and for the sake of the ingredient list on Febreze, we are going to say that water is a safe product. I feel like that should be pretty self-explanatory for anyone watching. So Febreze has one ingredient in the safe list. Ingredient number 2 is denatured alcohol, or as it says on the Febreze bottle, alcohol denate. Basically what this is it's taking just regular alcohol and it's denaturalizing it. So basically my problem is if you search up alcohol denate toxic, what the very first search result that we get says the term denatured alcohol refers to alcohol products adulterated with toxic and or bad tasting additives. Examples would be methanol, benzene, pyridine, castor oil, gasoline, isophyl alcohol, and acetone, making it unsuitable for human consumption. And there was even an article I saw talking about how household cleaning products will often put these chemicals into your cleaning products to make sure that humans don't drink them in the first place, because that way they're toxic. Now, in my mind, I'm sitting there going, I don't think we should be defending the people who want to drink this stuff. Okay, if you want to drink this stuff, that's your own fault. We don't need to make it more toxic for the rest of us because there's a 0.5% of people that might be stupid enough to drink this. I feel like it shouldn't be in our air fresheners whatsoever, especially if that is indeed the reason. One more thing to note is that alcohol denate is actually considered toxic if inhaled. And when we spray this bottle, isn't that the whole point of it, is we're spraying it so that we can have a nice smell? Obviously, we're not recommending, like taking a big whiff of it or anything. But isn't that kind of the point of Febreze, is that you're trying to make it smell good? And so therefore, inhaling it, I don't know, just me, but I feel like it's pretty safe to say that I think alcohol denate is unsafe because of the toxic chemicals they add to it, so people don't drink it, and that it can be toxic if inhaled. 2 reasons, in my mind, to call this unsafe. Next up on our list is, let me grab the bottle and read it here, PEG 60 hydrogen. See, this is the problem. Hydrogenated castor oil. PEG 60 hydrogenated castor oil. Now, what is that? So, PEG 40 hydrogenated castor oil is an emollient and emulsifying agent created from a mixture of synthetic polyethylene glycol. I apologize for all the butchering of words in this video. This is kind of my point, is that we don't even know what the stuff is. We can't pronounce it. But then it says they add a little bit of natural castor oil to it. That way you can probably still call it natural. But is it safe? That's the big question. So, according to a site called Special Chem, it says PEG 60 hydrogenated castor oil is generally considered safe for use in cosmetics when formulated appropriately. So this one is specifically talking about cosmetics, but is also used in common household cleaning products as well. But it does say it has a low potential for skin irritation. One other thing to note, though, about this ingredient is that PEG 60 hydrogenated castor oil is a polyethylene glycol derivative of hydrogenated castor oil with an average of 60 moles of ethylene oxide. So then I started to wonder, well, what is ethylene oxide? Because they didn't put that on the ingredient list, but that's a big ingredient in this. So I found an article talking about ethylene oxide, and sure enough, according to cancer.gov, ethylene oxide is linked to leukemia and some stomach cancers. Right off the bat, I'm going to call that unsafe. I don't think I need to say any more. Next on the list is sodium citrate. So what is that? Sodium citrate is the sodium salt of citric acid. It is white crystalline powder or white granular crystals, slightly deliquescent in moist air, freely soluble in water, practically insoluble in alcohol. Like citric acid, it has a sour taste. From the medical point of view, it is used as an alkalizing agent. But is it safe? According to the FDA, select committees of generally recognized as safe food substances, citrate salts, including sodium citrate, are generally regarded as safe when used in normal quantities. However, according to sinusitIswellness.com, they say that manufactured citric acid may be causing inflammatory cascades. This means that even though it is considered safe, there could be potential health risks that we are unaware of. And what they're referring to right there is that since the early 1900s, approximately 99% of the world's production of manufactured citric acid has been developed from black mold. Now, I'm just going to come right out and say that mold is not good for our body in any way whatsoever. And so using something that is developed from mold in our household cleaning products is probably not the smartest thing we could do. So I personally am going to deem sodium citrate unsafe. Next on the list is hydroxyprofyl cyclodextrin, which is comprised of 7 sugar molecules bound together in a ring. The ring-shaped three-dimensional structure has a hydrophobic cavity in its center, which is capable of trapping cholesterol and lipids. Hydroxyprofyl is an approved inert material being suited for oral and intravenous administration. Now, they do say in a topical context, you can only use it in a concentration up to 1.5%, but it is generally considered safe by the FDA. One thing I will note is I did find a study talking about how this particular ingredient is actually been noted in some studies to be effective against fighting off cancer cells and even killing them off. Not that that necessarily means it's safe, but I guess what I would say is that it's the ingredient as a whole might be useful in certain contexts for sure. And so I felt with this particular one, I didn't come to a super clear conclusion. I'm going to leave this one in the unsure category. I think it warrants a lot more research. There's more stuff I could have shown on it, but I feel like I got a lot of conflicting stuff. Definitely sounds like some good uses for this, and also a few areas where maybe we need to do a little bit more study. So for now, I'm going to leave this in the unsure category. Next on our list is dithylhexyl. I think I'm saying that right. One strange kind of thing to note would be that a lot of these products are also used in cosmetics. So, for any of you ladies out there who are, using lots of, cosmetic products, maybe take a look at some of the stuff you're using too and see if you can find a more natural alternative as well. That said, the FDA once again says that this product is considered safe in a topical context up to 5%. However, dithylhexyl is at least known to have low toxicity levels. Now, for me personally, low toxicity is too much toxicity. So I personally don't want to be inhaling that in my air fresheners. And there were studies conducted on animals proving that it was toxic to animals such as horses, dogs, cats, rats, and many more. And personally, for me, if it's toxic to a lion, then it's toxic for Ryan. And also the first 3 letters spell die. So, not buying it. Unsafe. Next, we have sodium polyacrylate, which is a sodium salt of polyacrylic acid with a chemical formula of blah, 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 blah. It has broad applications in consumer products. So this one I thought was kind of funny when I looked up if it was safe. It says, if spilled in an area with water, sodium polyacrylate could cause the ground to be very slippery. Finally, sodium polyacrylate can cause severe clogging if it enters sewers or drainage systems in large quantities. Otherwise, sodium polyacrylate is a non-toxic and safe from any major risks. I just thought it was funny that they thought it was worth mentioning that you can slip on this if you spill it. So, I mean, duh. But from everything I found, sodium polyacrylate was considered safe and non-toxic. However, it can cause irritation to the eye and nasal membrane. But if I'm being honest, you could irritate your eyes and nose with all kinds of stuff. So that's not a great marker for something that you shouldn't use. One note to keep in mind is that it is non-biodegradable, so there is that. But other than that, I think I may actually call this one safe. I didn't find anything that was super alarming about it. That's just my opinion. Feel free and leave your thoughts down below. And honestly, feel free and share your thoughts on any of these ingredients. I spent about 2 hours doing research for all these ingredients, which is by no means extensive, but I think it's probably certainly more than the average person. So feel free and share your thoughts down below if you're an expert on any of these ingredients. I'd love to hear your thoughts and let me know if I'm right or wrong on certain ingredients. All right, next we have the one I can't say at all. Benzisothiazolinone. That one. The B one. We'll just call it the B one. So the B one is an organic compound with formula blah 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 blah. It's a white solid. It is structurally related to isothiazole. So none of that really means a whole lot to me. It kind of sounds like mumbo jumbo, but that's the definition. All right, so the B1 is classified as hazardous with the hazard category acute toxicity category 4 and the hazard statement harmful if swallowed. Also, contact with skin may cause allergic reactions, and it is also banned in Europe due to irritating the skin. And typically, at least in my perspective, if something is banned in Europe, it is usually, well, let me say it this way. I think Europe is usually ahead of the US in terms of banning toxic products, toxic chemicals. So it's banned in Europe, which means it should be banned here too, but we're still putting it into our household cleaning products. So therefore, I'm going to consider the B1 unsafe. All right, and the final ingredient in Febreze is nitrogen. We should all remember this from the periodic table in like middle school and high school. It is just one of the chemical elements. From everything I can find, it seems to be quite safe. And honestly, it seems to be in abundance in pretty much everything. I think, from what I understand, there's no escaping nitrogen. The only concern is that too much of it in a closed environment could remove the oxygen. However, I'm pretty sure in order for you to lose all the oxygen in your house, you'd probably have to spray like 100 of these, which at that point, you're probably going to have all kinds of problems. But nitrogen seemed to be safe. It does not harm the human body, and it is actually found in our DNA. And so therefore, I would deem nitrogen as a safe ingredient in Febreze. All right, so let's look at the final scores. So we have 3 safe, 2 unsure, and 5 unsafe. And I will say, too, that one of these safe ones is still questionable in my mind. Water and nitrogen, I would say, are safe for sure. The sodium polyacrylate, I think, could do a little bit more research, but for now, I deemed it as safe. But please do your own research. I am not endorsing that product as safe. It was just my opinion based on my research. And then we had 2 unsure ingredients, and then we had 5 unsafe products, most of which were toxic, irritating to the skin in some capacity, and one of them was even linked to cancer, according to cancer.gov. So there's enough wrong in the Febreze ingredients that I would deem this product as a whole as unsafe. But now my goal is not just to throw scare tactics at you and say Febreze is bad, there's nothing you can do to make your house smell good. I want to give you a natural alternative that you can try as well. So I did some research online and I found several articles talking about how using baking soda as a air freshener is actually a very safe and very effective way to give your house a fresher scent. And so I'm going to share one of the recipes with you where you can make your own air freshener at home. And the nice thing is the ingredient list for this air freshener is very low and you can pronounce everything in this ingredient list. So first of all, you're going to need a spray bottle, because you need to have something to put it in. Number 2, you're going to need 2 tablespoons of baking soda. Dump those into the spray bottle. Then you're going to need 20 to 30 drops of your favorite essential oil. Now, I will leave a list here. I looked up some essential oils that are considered slightly hazardous. And so you want to be careful with the essential oil that you're choosing. So a few safe options I think would be things like lavender or even rosemary would be a pretty safe bet. But do your research on your essential oils too. And make sure that they won't be irritating to the skin or the eye or anything. That seems to be the biggest concern with essential oils. It's not so much that they're bad chemicals or they're bad for you, but some of them can be irritating depending on how they are used. And so some, I'm assuming, some are probably better as a fragrance, and others are probably not. Then you add 2 cups of water, shake it up, and you're good to go. You've got yourself a natural air freshener with only 3 ingredients, all of which you can pronounce and you know are not harmful to your body, to your family, or to your kids and your pets. This is my personal bottle of the baking soda air freshener that I made. It's an old spray bottle. I just put some duct tape over it so I could label it. You can't see it. I wrote it in Sharpie. It says air on it. That way I knew this was for air freshening. But I've actually kind of enjoyed it. It does smell nice. I will say it is nowhere near as long lasting as your Febreze, nor as strong of a scent. But I'm still kind of messing around with the right amount. So I think if I feel like I get a good mixture, maybe I'll make a video about that. But I like it. It smells fresh. It smells clean. It's very interesting. I never would have said this in the past, but if you spray Febreze and I smell that, and I compare it to the baking soda over here, the baking soda smells very fresh and natural, and this one smells like chemicals. The Febreze does. It feels like I don't want to actually breathe it in. Right there, actually, I almost coughed. But over here, when I spray the baking soda, it just feels fresh. It smells fresh, and it feels like something that is safe to smell. And so I don't know. I'm enjoying using it so far. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. If you have any alternatives for natural air fresheners, and let me know if you do try this, what you think about it. And one thing to know too about the price in terms of making your own air freshener, a lot of times we think making our own household products is going to be more expensive. In this case, it's actually going to be a lot cheaper. So this bottle of Febreze goes for about $3.29. Obviously, you could buy it in bulk and save money, but you can do the same thing with baking soda and essential oils too. A box of baking soda I saw as low as $1.49, and then roughly $9 for the essential oil. I chose lavender. You could certainly do cheaper ones than that, but lavender is a nice smell. The one I did was rosemary. I think eventually I'd like to switch and do a lavender one. But the cheapest one I saw for the essential oil lavender was $9 for a total of $10.49. So basically, for the price of 3 of these, you could probably make dozens of bottles of these with your 1 box of baking soda and your 1 bottle of essential oil. There were a couple articles I read where the people writing the articles, they made their own baking soda air fresheners, and they said that it cost them roughly 50 cents per bottle. So if that's true, that is significantly cheaper than buying a Febreze. So not only are you getting a much cleaner and healthier alternative for your home, but you're also saving money by making your own. And honestly, making my own took like 3 minutes. If that, honestly. Like I said, you throw in the 2 scoops of baking soda, you add some essential oil, add water, shake it up, and then you're good to go. Super quick and easy. So I really recommend trying a more natural and homemade alternative to your air fresheners. So there you go. I hope this video was helpful to you. I hope it helped you understand some of the chemicals that go into Febreze and how not all of them are safe for you or your family. And remember, when we're making health changes in our life, it's all about small changes piece by piece. I think if you try to drastically change your life overnight, it's not going to be very sustainable, at least in my opinion. I'm very much of the mindset, start with small changes. This week, I'm going to try and work on this. Maybe a couple weeks from now, I'll try and change something else. For my family and I, we've been slowly making gradual changes in our lifestyles to try and make our home and our bodies as healthy as possible, especially because I've been sick for so long. And our hope is that long term, by doing this, we can actually move me towards recovery so I can get out of the state of chronic illness. And if you found this video informative, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel and share this video with your family and friends so they can start living healthier lives today too. And with that, my friends, I want to say thank you for spending part of your day here with me. Please take care of yourselves. God bless you, and we will see you in the next one.